This is the Drake Insights Podcast, your weekly dose of cutting-edge senior living marketing insights. Join me, your host, Natasha Drake, for bold ideas, proven strategies, and inspiring stories straight from the experts. Tune in and let's conquer the senior living marketing landscape together. Hi, guys. Welcome back to another episode of the Drake Insights Podcast. I'm your host, Natasha Drake from Drake Strategic. Let's get started. So I'm really excited today to have on the CEO, Joe Soltis from ChoiceLocal. And if you remember it might have been about a year ago, an old colleague of mine, Matt Messenger, who worked with me at my Attain days, has gone over to ChoiceLocal and has introduced me to the team there. And little did I know, they are very involved in a lot of different areas, but are involved in senior living. And of course, that intrigued me and interested me. And when Joe and I first met, first thing we talked about was AI, and we're just coming off the heels, obviously, of Leading Age. That was a hot topic that we all talked about, and how we're using it in all of the different areas of senior living. And so what Joe and his team are doing, I think, is helping bridge the gap of a lot of the innovation gap in senior living and the way we're using it specifically in the sales and marketing world, the digital world. So I asked Joe if he would join me and share some of their insights and their knowledge that you can bring back, and look at if you're using these tools, are you truly leveraging AI in the ways you should be? So, and if not, there are ways. I think you'll learn today, or you can follow up with Joe after. So, Joe, thank you so much for joining. I'm so happy to have you on, and if you wouldn't mind introducing yourself.
Natasha, it's exciting to be here. It's an honor to be here. And so Joe Soltis, the CEO of ChoiceLocal, and we work with over 1,000 senior care organizations and companies. And throughout our time working together in this industry, we've been able to find ways to leverage AI in super exciting ways that boost occupancy, that create wait lists, that increase lead flow and quality lead flow, that improve conversion rates of leads into tours and tours into new residents. And it's an incredibly exciting time. I've been doing digital marketing, well over 20 years now. And there's never been more change than there is now. And there's never been a more exciting time due to the innovations that are happening around AI.
So can you dig in a little more? So specifically in senior living marketing, I want you to talk, and then we're going to talk about a lot of different things and go through a lot of different topics today. So, but if you can kind of summarize a little bit for us of how is AI, reshaping senior living marketing, at least overall, before we dig into each thing?
Absolutely. So let's talk lead generation first. So on the lead generation side, in the age of AI, there's these thing called AI overviews. So if somebody's going into Google, they're doing a search, they can get like a paragraph type answer with recommendations. So for example, give me the name of a high-end senior living environment that I could send my mom and dad to. Right now they're pretty independent, but I'd like to have memory care down the road. They have like just the early seeds of dementia going on, but it's not too major right now. Give me one that's highly recommended and high end. Like that can be an actual search.
Yeah.
So people are taking that, they're putting it in ChatGPT, they're putting it into to search. So that's occurring now in Google search. Now what happens is with AI, you can write content and do things on your website and off of your website to make sure that you dominate in the AI overviews and also dominate in the traditional search, the map as well as the blue links underneath, stronger, faster, and better than ever before because of AI. So that's a huge change. Another change is related to AI when it comes to building basically a lookalike audience. Mm-hmm. So in a HIPAA compliant manner, you can take your client contacts, your resident contacts, and build a lookalike model off of that with AI, and then target those exact individuals within a certain geographic area around a community. And you can use that to generate really high quality leads. And you can do that through social media. You can do that through targeted television and connected TV. You can do that through various websites and programmatic targeting advertisements. That's new with AI. Another thing that's new with AI is using text and email to automatically, in a very personal and empathetic way, to connect, and then use speed to lead to convert that lead into somebody who knows more about your community, and then get that person scheduled for a tour. And when they come in for a tour, it's the same way it's always been. AI hasn't changed that. But speed to lead is really, really, really important as people are looking at lots of different communities. And the first one that can reach out to them and make this fantastic impression can be much more likely to convert into a resident. So with AI, you can do that fast, really fast, like within minutes now, and that's powerful.
Yeah. Okay. So thank you. That was really good. So that's really everything we're going to talk about kind of in a nutshell, but let's go back. I'm going to go back to SEO specifically because I do agree. I think that, I mean, that's what we're doing too now, right? I mean, I tend to ask ChatGPT and more of the AI features more than I do just on Google. And so the idea of, and I've talked about this before, of the keyword search, people are just typing in senior living near me or senior living in this town. And that's just not the way that search is happening. So I do want to go back if you can for a second. So I know when we spoke, you talked about ChoiceLocal's specific AI platform that you all use that I want you to talk a little bit about, and that how using AI has shortened, the timeline for SEO, right? From, I believe you said like 6 months to 90 days or something like that. Can you dig in a little more specifically to SEO?
Yeah. So ChoiceLocal has developed this technology called CLAI. It stands for ChoiceLocal Artificial Intelligence. So it's something, we've gone in, we hired the AI Innovator of the Year Award recipient from the California Investment Forum. He is Vice President of Tech and Engineering at ChoiceLocal. We have some incredibly talented engineers, and they're working very closely with our SEO and AEO team to build this. So we've made a lot of investments over the last 2.5 years, but let's get out of that and just talk like pure strategy here. So essentially what it does is it crawls the search engine rankings and AI overviews for your community as well as your competitors, and it'll give reporting on rankings. It'll then get an understanding of what's going on and who's dominating and why, and then it will create the content and push into the back end of the website, basically through an integration, the content that's going to drive those rankings and the answers to those AI overviews. And then when Google or ChatGPT makes a major update, CLAI then updates itself and then is updated, and then it pushes into the website those updates as well too. In addition, because it's artificial intelligence, like the key selling points of a community, so the world-class meals, the faith-based mission, the on-site amenities, whatever those may be, CLAI can be trained on all of that. So that is worked into the content. So it's still written with on-brand differentiation, but it's also done in a way that resonates well with Google and these AI chatbots like ChatGPT. So essentially, it's reverse engineered what drives it. And one of the things that's so encouraging is that, like, you don't necessarily have to have like an article written about you in the New York Times or in the big newspaper in the city that you're in, and to inform this. Actually, the number one thing you can do to influence this is the content on your own website. So you need to write for the keywords that you can still use tools like the Google Keyword Planner and look at the search volume. Like, that's very important for these terms, but people are still using those terms in the AI searches as well too. So it's going to cover both bases, your traditional SEO as well as your AI overviews. So when we turn this on, within 90 days, there's 160% lift in lead flow. Within 30 days, we're usually seeing about a 60% lift in lead flow. That's incredible. So the days of like SEO taking 6 months to see results are over, because now we can do this at scale and do it faster and more efficient than ever. One thing I do want to stress is that the content is still, although it's AI driven and the majority of it is AI written, there's still about 30% of the content that's written by SEO and AEO specialists, because you don't want to have content that's pure 100% written by AI. The AI can write the majority of the content. The AI can inform how the human element of the content should be written. So, put this keyword at this particular keyword density. In other words, like, have the word, if you want to rank for the word memory care, have the word memory care be like 1 out of every 100 words on that particular page. Could be an example of that. So it can inform that, but the SEO specialists are going and doing it. So it's this mix of like human and AI that builds a superior result. And it works really well and really beautifully. The other thing that we can look at is, the traditional aspects of SEO, the structured data, the structured snippet, organizational schema. It can do an audit of all of that on the website and then make changes on the website to what's needed to drive that. So one of the things that's also really powerful is frequently asked questions. So if you take all of the questions that you're typically asked, this is very powerful. So take all the questions that you're typically asked during the process of, somebody potentially becoming a new resident. The questions from the family, the questions from the resident, write out all of those questions and then write out your best answer to those. And then we want to keyword optimize that. But essentially what that means is if anybody asks any of those questions about you or comparing you to any of your competition, your point of view is going to show up in those AI overviews with that. So that's very powerful. And then the other aspect of it is simply online reviews. So that's more important now than it's ever been. But if you can understand, someone's doing a search and says, give me a highly recommended or highly rated senior living community that does X, Y, and Z and is good at this. If you say you're good at it on your website, that actually influences the search engine rankings and the AI overviews. And then the online reviews are kind of like a check against that. So if you have online reviews and then your website says you're good at it, the AI is going to say you're good at it when people are searching. And they're like, this particular place is highly recommended because of X, Y, and Z. So it's very powerful.
No, that's really interesting. So I think one way I want, the listeners I know that are listening to this that know at least the basics of SEO are probably thinking, okay, yeah, we're doing that. We're using it in ways we're doing all the things you're saying. But I think what you're saying, if I'm saying this more clearly, is using AI for each of those items. Yeah. And so, and what I thought was really interesting, what you just said, was how you can really teach the AI about those strengths, key differentiators, because that everyone knows it's one of my hot buttons. We want to make sure, we use AI, we're showing up for rankings, but that we're also being honest and transparent about who we are, right? And what we're best at. And so that, I think, to me is a different way of using AI in SEO than just putting it in for keywords, just ranking regardless, right, of what you actually are good at and what you actually should be ranking for. So no, that's really interesting. So I want to jump over for a second. You mentioned speed to lead, and I know a lot of my sales listeners' ears probably perked up. So I'm gonna jump to that if that's okay for a second. So obviously we all know how important this is. We've been talking about this for the past 20 years, right? It's so important that you are the first person that's calling the person back. Now, in the digital age, and from a lot of the clients that I have, this is sort of a different conversation now because the digital leads come all hours of the day, all hours of the night, especially adult children with ChatGPT on their phones at night. You're getting a lot more leads than you were before, maybe more top of the funnel leads than you were before with phone calls, right? And just forms fills. Mm-hmm. So this is more important than ever. So I want you to dig into this and how, you're using AI in a really good way for speed to lead. And I want everyone to listen to this. So go ahead, Joe.
Yeah, so there's a stat that says you're 21 times more likely to convert a lead if you call them within 5 minutes of that lead coming in. That's almost impossible to do, especially during off hours. That's impossible. So what this technology can do is there's twofold. This technology can be used for two ways. So the one that's been around a little bit longer is through text messaging. A form fill is completed. It is immediately routed into the CRM and database to go through the sales cycle. But it takes the information from that form completion, understands what they're looking for based on some of the drop downs in that form completion, and then sends a personalized text to that individual in less than a minute saying like, hi, I'm Susan from senior living community, and you just reached out on our website, and I'm here to help you. What questions can I answer for you? And would you like to schedule a tour? I could schedule that with you right now. How can I help? And then they respond with an answer. And then, like I talked before, take all those questions that people are typically asked, and then your best answer for those questions, and you load that into the process. So it basically can immediately react in real time with a personalized answer to that individual. It's not like if they say this, then we say this. It's through artificial intelligence, so it can think, but you're giving it basically the answer ahead of time to the broad array of all of the questions. And then if it ever is a point where the AI can't answer the question, which is pretty rare to be honest, it's basically how well it's fed with the Q&As. But if it can't, then say, that's a great question. That's something we can answer for you on the tour. Or if you prefer, I can schedule a phone call with you Susan on her team or whatever.
Yeah.
So that's how that works. Now you can take that same technology and the conversion rates go up. So you can be getting 30% more residents from the same lead flow just by doing that in a world-class way. I'm talking the form fill lead flow specifically, not the phone call lead flow. So now when you talk about phone calls, you can do that with phone calls as well too. And so that can be an outbound phone call that occurs as a direct result of somebody filling that form out as well too. But it's not like when you talk to Siri and you get really angry and you get frustrated because she doesn't listen. Like this next wave of AI technology can have softness, can have empathy, can raise and lower their voice with inflection based on if somebody's going through a difficult time and I'm so sorry, and your voice lows. The AI understands that and does that. So it sounds like the most empathetic, like caring individual. It's crazy stuff. So that speed to lead is really important. It can have those conversations, and then the goal is to then convert into a tour, and that's where the real human to human interaction occurs that cannot be replaced.
Yeah, and I want to make sure I clarify because I think, obviously a lot of communities and operators use chatbots, right? And so they're thinking in their mind, okay, yeah, we have a chatbot. But like, I think what's really important and what I want to clarify what you're saying is, first of all, text and phone. And maybe you can explain this a little bit more of how you're able to customize the way they speak. So it's not like a chatbot that just gives automatic, you type in pricing, it says, oh, here's our page, right? Where it's just like the responses are automated. This is different. It's actually personalized AI bots that are really responding to you in a personal, empathetic way. And how is that done? I'm assuming it's just built in through your AI model, or can you explain a little bit more about that?
Yeah, they use these things called LLMs, and they're language models that look at and study human interaction and then respond as a human would. So it's not like when you ask the question and the little bubbles pop up and then it gives you the canned answer. It's truly conversational. So it essentially, take this podcast and the conversation we're having, it's like that, but it's based on the pain points of somebody the opportunities and the hopes of somebody who's looking for a senior living community. So it's very, 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 very personalized to what's being asked.
And the difference is too, even when someone is at night and they're filling out a chat box, I want to make sure everyone hears this difference. It's still a form that goes in and you still have to wait for the person to contact them. So this is at night, whenever it might be, they're automatically getting that text or they're getting that phone call when they need to speak, when they're available, not then filling out a chatbot, getting maybe some of the answers, right? And still waiting for someone to call them. So, in terms of speed to lead, I know this scares a lot of salespeople. I know that, that was me. I did that for how long? And I know that feeling of, okay, now I'm out of control. I'm not controlling the sales process, but exactly what Joe said in terms of the conversion rates of if you're responding in 5 minutes, I think sometimes still the protocols that I've seen are like 24 hours. We cannot be waiting 24 hours to respond to that adult child who's at night, has children all day, can't speak to you the next day during, in the middle of the day. Right. We have to change that mentality. And I think this helps us get there, like you're saying, with that empathetic approach. And you can customize it, tailor it the way, I'm sure as far as you want to go. So I find that really interesting. I'm really excited to see that more in action because I haven't seen that to where you're saying. I've seen a lot of the response texts, but not actually the true chat language, lead response text messaging. So that's really, really interesting. Was there anything more you wanted to talk about that, or did we get through?
The only thing I'll just add to it is kind of shocking. Like, yeah. When we first unveiled this technology internally, we had a town hall meeting. We had everybody at the company to listen. And so we did these things at ChoiceLocal called Town Hall, where all the innovation every 2 weeks is kind of showcased. And that particular meeting, if we take the almost 12-year history of the company, that particular meeting where we unveiled that technology got like oohs and ahs, like crazy. Because it's just so shocking. Like, you've just never experienced anything like that in your life. I mean, it really is an amazing set of technology. And I think the text piece is like, it's not as amazing, to be honest, but when you actually hear, like, I think I'm just talking about the human piece of it. When you hear like, and like, that's the part that's shocking.
No, I know. I'm saying I kind of want to have an intro. I kind of want to have an intro to that. I think it amazes me, and I'm sure everyone listening to this is thinking like, oh, that's scary, but I want to hear how it works. I want to see some examples. So reach out to Joe to learn more about that, because I think that's going to be really helpful specifically in our industry as well. So I do want to jump a little bit over. You talked about lookalike audiences, which I know I have brought up a couple times on here. But I think this is a little different way about it. And I know it's something that, Matt and I talked about a little bit last year of using your own data. So there's a way using AI, yes, we're in senior living. Yes, you have to stay compliant, all of that, right? But there's a way to use your data and create those audiences to show up better in search. So I want you to talk a little bit about that.
Yeah. So there is, earlier on, we talked about brand persona. So you can build a persona based on kind of gut feel. Okay. So we talked to a lot of children and adult children, and this is what they're saying. And these are the pain points, and these are the type of residents we have here. And you build a persona based off that. And that's usually pretty darn good. But to take it to the next level, particularly when you can go on Facebook and Meta, and you can like micro target individuals based on like certain things that they like, it's pretty amazing. So essentially what you do to make a completely data-driven persona to start out is you upload the client contacts, resident contacts. When you upload those, you can use email address and you can use phone number. And we're doing it in a way that we don't know disease state. We don't know who's a resident, who's not a resident. We're talking contacts as a whole. And then based on that, you can then build a lookalike audience that's a 1% match. And it goes over everything that they've ever liked on social media. It goes over income. It goes over age and household wealth and all of those various factors. But it also just goes after like stuff people like Wheel of Fortune, antiquing, like weird stuff that when like everything that you've ever liked on social media is tracked and used. So you can use that same technology, and then you can basically build a persona that's data driven, that, this is the income, this is where they live, this is typically where they come from, this is what they like, what they're passionate about, these are their pain points. And you can find all of that out with data, and then you can then use that to build the persona and then better talk to the decision makers for who's going to become, what senior living community they're going to be picking. Now, we can then use that same data to say, target those exact same people on social media. So you can do that through Meta, which includes, Facebook and Instagram, which is absolutely huge. You can do it through TikTok, although that's not quite, where the core audience is at. But you also can take that, and then there's something called programmatic display. We use a partner called Simplify for this. And you can do connected TV to these individuals. So that basically means if they're watching TV over, an internet connection, whether that be YouTube TV or whether that be Amazon or Hulu or Fubo, you get the idea.
Right.
You can micro target. You're not targeting the show, you're targeting the individual with a commercial for your community. So what that allows you to do is be much more efficient with the dollars that you're using to build brand and generate leads than the typical, I'm going to buy Wheel of Fortune at this time slot on this channel in this particular market. So you can get very, very targeted. So not only are you, so now, like, if I can make an analogy, like kind of if you imagine like a brick wall, with a few, like 5 or 6 big bricks in it. So you have YouTube, you have Google, you have Facebook, you have Instagram. Those are kind of like the big bricks where everybody's hanging out. But the mortar in between is all of these other websites and micro targeting on connected TV. So essentially what that allows you to do is build your brand with your ideal residents and their family, while at the same time generating leads by having this whole strategy that's micro-targeted based on this AI of your core audience. And then you can build a funnel where you have top of funnel, which is like your branding and awareness. You have your middle funnel, which is a mix of branding and awareness, and lead gen, and bottom of the funnel, which is like lead gen, and it's pretty short sales cycle. So that's the process to bring that together. And this process, as it plays out over time, you get an immediate strong performance boost from this. It's very, very strong. But then now at the same point, you're also building tremendous brand equity so that 1 year, 3 years, 5 years, 10 years down the road, the advertising you're doing today pays off at that point as well too. So it really becomes between CLAI and artificial intelligence from SEO and AEO, and then you take this doing it on the advertising side as well too. You're really building, it's like a compound investment that's just continue to yield. It's like investing in like, a 401k.
Yeah. And one thing I want to say, and I've mentioned this a lot, is this is building the quality. I think, and if we compare it, I know when we talked last, we were kind of comparing it to old, traditional, the way we were doing it before, targeting, right? Demographic targeting, where it was kind of just spray and hope for the best, right? And half your leads were not qualified. I want everyone to hear like, yes, this is now getting you more leads and more spaces because you're able to do a lot of that display, like you're saying in the meta, but it's more targeted, specific to you and to your community, not just saying, oh, we want this age, this demographic. No, this is custom to the individual. And so you are going to see higher quality leads as well as part of this approach, is what you're saying. And then over time, it keeps building and building, right? Because it sort of gets to know you and who you are, right? As you continue to run those ads, I think is what you're saying.
Yeah. Yeah. Beautifully.
That's so neat. So I want to jump over a little bit if we can. So we that now have all this data. We know that these communities have CRMs, right? So how do we now use AI to help integrate and make those, data-driven decisions and insights with that CRM integration? I know when we talked last, we talked a little bit about that. I want you to dig in a little bit if you can.
Okay. So imagine, if you will, two giant databases. The database on this side is all of your marketing data, the keywords, the audiences, the creative, the calls to action, the landing pages, the channel, whether that be, Google SEO, whether that's ChatGPT, Facebook, et cetera. So that's all on this side. On this side, you have all of your data from your CRM. How many leads came in? What percentage of those leads turned into tours? Which percent of those tours turned into residents? How long was that resident there for? And then revenue tied to that resident. What you can do is basically, what we do is we take a client ID and we append it to every single lead that comes in. We call it a client ID. And essentially what that is it's an ID to a lead. And it will connect all the marketing data to all the CRM data. Mm-hmm. And what that allows you to do is optimize for, the basic, what I'll call the basic stuff, which is optimized for, cost per tour and cost per resident. But then you can optimize for, lifetime of a resident. And you can optimize for lifetime revenue with that. So when you have the data, that's very powerful. So the best organizations have been world-class at doing that. And then they've been going in and manually matching back and like using pivot tables and Excel spreadsheets and to like try to figure this out. Now in the age of AI, we just say, extract data, give me insights. And it spits out, this is what your marketing mix should be. This is how many dollars you should be investing in every channel. These are the calls to action you should be using. The calls to action you're using in social media here, you probably should be doing more of that within your paid search. And here's the data to support that. And it basically will optimize your marketing mix as a whole, as well as every single channel with the keywords, the call to action. And that's all based on CRM data. So the days where we just had to optimize on cost per lead and then manually go back to cost per qualified lead, now we're just taking it next level, and you can do it instantaneously. Like the AI can run this model and give you the answers in like a minute.
Yeah. And I think I do want to say, this is one of the things, of all the things you talked about, I mean, I keep saying this, but this is something that I truly believe most senior living communities and operators, we are missing. We are in this industry because everything is separated. You have a lot of different databases with a lot of different information, and it's not all funneling together. And most of the time, like you're saying, it's the digital team has their digital data or the marketing data, and then the CRM. And yeah, maybe we pull those leads out, like you're saying, and we do some pivot tables and we compare it. This is seamless. I mean, this is huge. This is, the digital data, it's vanity data, right? They're just making decisions based on the data they're seeing on their conversions. No, we're saying this is based on your CRM, your tours, right? Whatever you define, right, as that good lead, your tours, your residents, your move-ins, right? So on and so forth, your move-outs, and analyzing that full journey, right? What you're saying, where they came from, and then spitting out to you, this is the marketing mix that gets you your top leads. Like that's like, this is crazy. Like we need to be doing this. This is huge. And I think everyone's doing little pieces of it, but not to this full extent. So remember when we spoke last, this was something that really spoke to me. I know to a lot of my listeners, this will speak to them in terms of data and data-driven decisions. So, I can't speak about it enough. I think it's really important. It's hard to really understand how it works. And that's where, Joe, you and your team kind of come in. But have you seen any, do you have any stories of I don't know, I'm kind of putting you on the spot here, but any clients that weren't using this and then switched to this, like ROI or anything like that you've seen from them, kind of making this switch to do this integration?
Absolutely. So you have situations where here's one that actually just came up this last week. So we had a client partner of ours that was saying, why are we investing so much in Instagram when our audience is on Facebook? And this was literally on Friday. So
good. I'm glad I put you on the spot then.
So when we looked at that, what we actually showed them is that Instagram as a whole although it had a higher cost per lead, was converting into resident at a significantly higher rate. So that is the insight from that. And then from there, what our team is doing is we're going in and looking at and doing a deep dive into the audiences between those two that were fundamentally built the same way, but seeing based on how the audiences are, if there's a fundamental learning that we can take out of that and then apply to other channels. So that was cool, and that literally just happened on Friday. The other thing that you can look at is enrollment rate. So we have a conversion rate from a lead into a resident. What we'll see is certain calls to action and certain creative are going to cause higher performance. So although one may have a better cost per lead, the cost per new resident is significantly better with those changes in creative and those changes in calls to action. And sometimes that can be focusing on your differentiators. You see what I'm talking about? So, book a tour may be a lower cost per lead as a call to action, but when a different call to action can be learn more about our specific ways we do memory care better than anyone else. It's not quite as strong of a call to action, but it generates a higher quality lead.
Yeah, no, that's really interesting. And as this is refining your marketing mix, I'm assuming over time, you're then spending less money on the things that aren't bringing those leads. So you have to think about maybe it's a little more upfront. You're trying to figure out, find that right lead, find the right way, but you're slowly refining, that mix and getting it to who are the residents that move in. And it's probably different, I'm sure you've seen at different communities, different types of living care, all over the country. You're probably seeing a different marketing mix because that's very common. Some have a lot more adult children, some are more digital heavy, some are more print heavy, right? You kind of learning that journey. So I don't know. If I was an operator, I would sign up for all of this. So I'm ready to go moving forward. I do want to go back. So kind of taking a step back, we talked a little bit about the texting, right? How it's different than chat and the calls. I do want to dig in a little bit because I know when we spoke, we talked about how I'm going to dig into sales a little bit here for our sales team members, how AI can help from a sales training and a service perspective. I know you talked a little bit about the phone calls, but I want to see if you can dig in a little more of how you can, integrate AI into that too.
Yeah. So we use CallRail. CallRail has the HIPAA compliance feature, built into it. So that's all taken care of. And then within CallRail, they have a technology called Sales Coach. And essentially what Sales Coach will do is we'll listen to the call automatically gets transcribed. So it listens to it, it transcribes it. And all of our partners, we built this into it where basically we'll synthesize the phone call, take it down, an 18-minute phone call, and then, in 3 to 4 sentences, summarize what happened in that phone call. That's kind of table stakes. All of our partners get that. There's other thing within that called sales coach. And within sales coach, essentially what it will do is it will be like, your conversion rate is under industry benchmark from lead into a tour. And here's why. And then it will tell you specifically on every single phone call what you could have done differently to improve your conversion rates. Crazy. And it's like spot on. It's so good. It's like better than the best like BP. Like it's so good because it's consistently looking at all of those factors where the human mind's going to go to like focus on this one particular thing. And this really stood out to me. Did you answer the phone with empathy? Did you sound rushed? Did you ask questions? Did you reiterate, their questions with, acknowledging that you heard their questions in your answer? Did you ask for a tour? Did you ask for the contact information? Like all of these things, looking for that consistently. And it's hard for a human to go and, unless they're going through with a checklist and methodically going through and listening to every single phone call, there's not a lot of time to do that. The AI can just do that. And then it can send that recap to the person who took that intake call so that they can be just automatically on the spot coach with it, every single one that comes in, but also that same report can go to their boss.
And I'm hearing, I know my VPs of sales and my regionals that are listening to this. I have a lot of friends that I know are hearing this going, that's my role. It's my job. No, we do personalized sales coaching. This is a tool. I know, and honestly, most of the senior living communities and operators I work with do use CallRail. Some use different ones, but for the most part, they use CallRail. I don't think, at least the ones I've worked with, are using this AI tool specifically for sales follow-up and coaching. I really don't think we are. And I haven't seen it. And if you are, great. So I want to push the listeners a little bit to try something different, use it as a tool to support you. Like Joe's saying, you don't have the time with all the other stuff you're doing, right? And you're traveling and when you're going on site to listen to that granular level. It's a tool to help. Again, it's helping you follow up faster. It's helping you coach your sales teams. It's hearing the things and then you can analyze it and make those decisions to help your sales team. So, and I do want to say too, Joe, that I think from all the digital companies that I work with, this is a big differentiator. I just like to say, from someone from the sales and marketing side, having a digital company that has this as part of their support with you, right? And talks you through. So it's not just like, well, we're just bringing you the leads, right? We're giving you the leads. You're taking it the next step on, we understand at ChoiceLocal, I'm speaking for you here. We understand at ChoiceLocal that it's not just bringing you these leads and these conversions. It's how are we helping you automate, right, to get better leads? And how are we helping you automate to close those leads and have better sales results? That's huge. I think, so I want everyone that's listening to hear that and say, if not ChoiceLocal, who? But are you using that? Are you getting that full extent of making sure you're bringing in better ROI, stronger leads, faster response, and now the coaching follow-up? It's just really, really important and pivotal. And I can't say it enough how important this is. I do want to ask, and again, I'm putting you on the spot again, Joe, are you already using this out of senior living in any other industries where you've seen it be successful, or is it just senior living? And have you had any success or stories you can tell?
We're doing it in senior living. We're doing it outside of senior living. So outside of senior living, we have had massive opportunities with this. So let's just rewind 10 years. So let's talk home care. So in home care, we had tons and tons and tons of independent businesses and business owners that were working with us. And one of the things we noticed were some home care agencies were growing incredibly fast with their services. And then others that actually had less lead flow weren't growing as well. So one of the things that we did is we said, to the owner, the general manager, listen to your phone calls, code which ones are quality leads, and take an inventory of that. So for probably 15 to 20% of our partners, they would go in and they would manually listen to the calls every single month. They would take notes on it, and then they'd coach their team on it and then report back to us. And we found that process, sometimes we would, even our account executives would manually do this too for some of those partners. And that process always solved that problem. So it solved a perception issue if there was a perception issue, and it solved an operations issue if there was an operations issue. So now we take that on and we just make it completely turnkey. We work with a franchise system that has 200 schools all over the United States. And in this particular franchise system, we look at lead to enrollment rate. And again, we're finding, because we got full CRM integration, some of these schools are enrolling at incredibly high rates, some of them are at incredibly low rates. So you essentially turn this on, give them a week worth of insight, and then they're like, oh my goodness, like the teenager I have answering this phone is not doing a very good job at all. And it gives immediate insight into that. So I mean, even just having it on for a week has made a really nice difference there. And then if you just make it part of your standard operating procedure, and it's just lights out.
Right. I mean, and you were saying that the people that are listening to the call. So I used to do that. That was one of my roles at one of the consulting agencies I worked at. And I did a lot of that. And I'm telling you, it is exhausting.
Yeah.
It's a lot of work. You have to then write your report. We didn't have AI ChatGPT back then. So being able to have that as a tool to help quantify, not just giving, qualitative, okay, giving you this information, but really quantify how many calls is this person, not following up, or how can we help that person, right? You see a lot of, and I'm going to say it, I'm sorry, operators, I'm going to say it. You see a lot of turnover in our industry in sales positions, right? Well, that person's not as good as the last person. That person's not as good as the last person. It is a hard job doing that. A salesperson at senior living, any level of care, it's a hard decision. People are losing choice, control. They don't, right? It's not a want decision many times it's a need decision. They're not ready for that. It is a hard job. And so this is a tool, not just a gotcha. This is a way to not only make your marketing better, right? But also help your sales team too, and not have to have that turnover. How can we help them? How can we train them? How can we support them? And using AI is going to cut it, in third? Probably, if not more. So I hope everyone gets behind this and is using this tool in the right manner and using it, in the full omni-channel approach that you guys are. I think that's what's so neat too, is it's not just like segmented. It's like we have AI in all these different areas, and it's all working together with your CRM, with your sales team, with your marketing plan, your marketing mix. Like it just seems like something that we in the senior living industry really need to get behind in terms of innovation and start doing these things.
I wholeheartedly agree, Natasha. And like the other thing I just want to mention is, like, I do this for ChoiceLocal. So we do use these technologies for ourselves. And I remember when we first put it on, we got a sales team, and they're like, there's no way AI could do as good as we do. And so I was like, all right, let's just turn it on and see what happens. We did a little a split test, and guess what? Speed of Lead won. So we have really talented people with empathy who are experts in their space, and they know what they're doing, but they can't. If you're on a 1 hour Zoom call, how are you going to call a lead that just in the middle of it? You can't. Right. You got to at least wait. So the speed to lead is critical, and as well as the sales coaching. I mean, that's even the best salesperson needs reminders.
Yep.
And this helps them stay sharp.
Yeah. No, this is so cool. This is so awesome. I love that you use it on your own team. I think that's great. Like, listen, we're putting this out there. We're giving this to our clients. Let's know that we know how to use it. So I love that. I love that story. So, oh my gosh. So I know we covered a lot today. There's been so much in all aspects. So thank you so much, Joe. I do want to take a second, if you can, I like to end with top key takeaways, that we went through a lot of different things. What are those top three, we'll say, key takeaways that you want, and you can do more than three if you'd like, that you want, listeners to remember from today?
Number one, those that don't dominate AI overviews in 2026 are going to lose market share. And coupled with that, you can dominate an AI overviews and SEO within 90 days of using the latest technology like ChoiceLocal's CLAI immediately to see those lists. That's the first takeaway. The second one is know your persona with a data-driven answer of who is enrolling, who is signing up, and who your residents are. You need to understand that with deep data insights. Again, with AI, you can do that with an upload and have that answer, and like literally with nice pie charts too. Here's how we are compared to the US population, and here's what our residents and resident contacts look like by comparison. And you can see where you out benchmark, and then AI can build an exact match for you. So understand that. And then number three, use these tools to improve your conversion rate. from not only, and you can use AI tools to improve the number of leads you get per website visitor.
Mm-hmm.
Use AI tools to improve the number of leads that turn into tours, and then tours that turn into residents. At every step of that process, be using that to follow speed, to gather those data insights, and to maximize those conversions by having an absolute world-class experience for your prospective residents and their families.
No, I think that's great. I think one of the things I was going to ask was, all right, so I'm a listener and I'm listening to everything you're saying, and I'm thinking, okay, what do I do now? Right? Like how, because I know a lot of operators who hire agencies or hire, right, digital companies to do this for them probably don't know, right? They don't ask those questions. They just say, oh, we hire them for SEO, we hire them for whatever it might be, that service. So the first step, I guess, I just want to see, what is the first step for them to even look and ask? I guess they just ask their vendor, and then who do they contact if they want to, learn more from ChoiceLocal?
So, yeah, I mean, your vendor should be able to give you a cohesive strategy that includes all of this stuff, and they should be able to give you projections ahead of time. So this particular strategy in this particular channel will yield X number of leads and Y number of residents. And then it can even project ahead of time, based on your occupancy needs and how long it will take to fill up. All of that can be calculated ahead of time. And like our team does that, and we look at it from a 10,000 foot view at first, but to get to that 10,000 foot view, you got to look at it channel by channel by channel by channel, and then it adds up to the sum of the whole. So you should be able to forecast that ahead of time, have a strategy that's completely turnkey on how to bring that about, and know ahead of time what you can expect and when. And then, like at our company, we hold our team accountable for delivering that performance. Like our SEO specialists and paid advertising specialists and strategists have KPIs tied to those forecasts they need to hit. So it really brings about a well-oiled machine and strong alignment between our, what we agreed to ahead of time and what we're doing on an ongoing basis to grow the community. So to do that at ChoiceLocal, you can go to choicelocal.com and just call or fill out a form. I'm happy to meet with you as well too. We have a team of over 100 people, and basically you just come in, fill out the form on the site, and we'll be in contact. And if you specifically ask to meet with me, I'll be more than happy to meet with you.
Oh, that's awesome. Thank you, Joe. Yeah, I think, what I want to say here and sum this up is innovation and empathy can exist together. Yes. It's possible. And I think, that's something that scares people, right? Is we are a very empathetic, we're a very human industry, as I talked about at Leading Age, right? We're a very human industry, and we're worried about AI because we're worried that's going to take us away. But most people weren't as worried as I thought they were going to be. So, I just think this is a perfect episode to follow that one, because it's true. I mean, we can have AI, we can have innovation and empathy. There's a way to do it. And it really is the future of senior living. And our marketing and our sales is going to depend on it. Like you just said, next year, like we have to get behind this now. So now is the time to kind of look at what you're doing, talk to your vendors, really dig in. No more the times of, oh, it's a plan, they manage it, we don't look at it. No, dig in. What are they doing? What are they responsible for? How are they using these tools? How are they not? And then finding the right partner and the right vendor that is, or you're going to be left behind, next year. So thank you so much, Joe. I really appreciate you joining today and all your insights. And this is really, really, really helpful for the industry. And thank you all for watching another episode of the Drake Insights podcast. I look forward to seeing you next time. Bye. Real quick, if you enjoyed watching the podcast today, please follow me and subscribe so you're notified for the next podcast. And if you have any questions or want to talk after about anything that Drake Strategic can provide for you, please reach out to me, call me, email me, or visit our website at drakestrategic.com.